1319 transatlantic slave trade, 1492 Holocaust with Christopher Columbus. These are the results of the plight of our people. 300 million people were killed during the Holocaust involving the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indian. And you say this doesn't have an effect on our people and the conditions of our people and our race? You say that in the school system. Why are the prison institutions filled up? Why are kids killing each other? Why is the abortion rate astronomical in our community? It's because we don't know who we are. Because culture has an effect on your present situation. Knowing who you are has an effect on where you're going. And today, we must not fear, but we must speak the truth and the whole truth. Give me John 8, verse 32.
It's the book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
So Christ said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Today is the day that the earth gives birth to the truth, and we find out what's our true nationality. Who are we according to the Bible? As you can see up here, these are our names. These are who we were before we were conquered and enslaved and subjected under slavery. Give me Psalms chapter 83.
It's the book of
King David, 12 tribes.
Book of Psalms chapter 83, verse 1. It says, keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo.
So it says, King David, who is a so-called, who will be categorized as a so-called African American in today's standards. But King David was actually from the tribe of Judah. Judah, where Christ comes from. So King David, also a prophet, he says, let's read it again.
Keep not thou silence, O God.
He says, keep not thou silence, O God, because many of us are saying the same thing. Keep not silence. Why does this happen to us? Why is our people in a decayed state? Why are they filling up the prison systems? Why are our kids dropping out of school? We're wondering, and we go to church, and we say, why is this happening? And we pray and say, keep not thy silence, O God. So King David, being a prophet, he would see the future events, the future prophecies that will occur to his people, the children of Israel. He would see that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians will no longer go as the 12 tribes. He would see the plight of our people. So he said, what?
Keep not thou silence, O God.
He said, keep not thy silence, God.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace. Because look at what they're doing to us as a people. Read on.
And be not still, O God.
Don't be still anymore, God. Let your works be manifest on this earth. Do something about our current situation. Because Willie Lynch once said, we could keep these people in subjection for 1,000 years, only if a phenomenon occurs. And the phenomenon is the Bible. Because the Bible has every documented information about our history. All the history that's been lost to us, the Bible has it. But we just have to go to the scriptures and identify it. Read on.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
He said, King David said, lo, thy enemies, God. Thy enemies. So God has enemies. But we're taught that God doesn't have enemies. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, meaning an uproar, a gathering. Read on.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee, God, they that hate thee, because God's enemies also hate him. They have also lifted up their head. Lifted up their head in what? In pride. Because they subjected the most mightiest people ever on this earth. This is King David. King David is what? A so-called black man, as you can see.
That's right.
But what did they show him to be? A Caucasian in the images at churches, in the schools. Look how he dressed. But our young brothers dress with their pants sagging, below their behind. Our women dress out of order. But we never dress like that. Read that again.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult, meaning an uproar, a gathering. Read on.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate you, God, your enemies, do what?
Have lifted up their head.
Because they became prideful, because they were able to subjugate and believe and have under subjection the children of Israel. The kings, the most mightiest people to rule the earth at one point. Read on.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have also taken what?
Crafty counsel against thy people.
Meaning they've taken a secretive counsel. What is a secretive counsel? Eugenics, Planned Parenthood. Eugenics and Planned Parenthood was originally established to exterminate blacks because we were producing too many children. So what they say, we don't die, we multiply. So one of the crafty counsel and conspiracy they came up with was, let's come up with American abortion clinics. Let's say that, they're feeble-minded. You can't have children, you're poor. So that's why there's an abortion clinic in every urban area. If you look at the geography, they have it within our neighborhood. So we could kill each other, kill our babies off. Read that again.
They have taken crafty counsel against the people.
Another crafty counsel is the educational system. With Gad, the so-called Native American Indians. They said, no, kill the Indian and not the man. So they actually killed the Indian within the Native American Indians. And they took their heritage, their culture away from them. And they converted them to another culture, to an American culture. Read on.
And consulted against the hidden ones.
And they have consulted against the hidden ones. We are hidden not only to our nationality, but we're hidden to the conditions that we're in, and we're hidden to the true knowledge of the Bible. What is the Bible? What is in this book? This big book, the book of life. Read on.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
God's enemies, the one that hates them, says, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation. Let us cut the people. Let's go back to the 12 tribes side. Let's cut the people that once called themselves the 12 tribes, meaning the prince of the power, means Israel. Let's cut off the so-called Judah, the tribe of Judah. Let's cut off the tribe of Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Naphtali. Read that again.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off.
The nations have said. The nations have said. That's why they have the United Nations. You don't see blacks in it. Because the nations, which also the United Nations said, do what?
Let us cut them off from being a nation.
Let's conquer and divide. The people that were sent on the 1619 transatlantic slave trade, the ones that we drop off in North America, let's call them African American. Let's call them colored. Let's call them Negro. The ones dropped off in the West Indian Islands, let's call them Haitian. Let's call them Tobagan, Jamaican, Trinidadians. Let's call the ones dropped off in Haiti, let's call them Haitian. Even though we all came on the same slave ship. He said, let us do what?
Let us cut them off from being a nation.
Let us cut them off from being a nation. Let's conquer and divide. Puerto Ricans, let's Mexicans. What else? You have North American Indians, Seminole Indians, Colombians, Dominicans, Cubans. Let us cut them off from being a nation that what?
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel, meaning the prince of the power, the chosen elect of God. Read on.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. This is in the Bible. The history of our slave trade, us being cut off. The reason, the mystery behind our names, African Americans, West Indian, Haitians. That's in the Bible. Read that last verse again.
Let us cut them off from being a nation.
Why?
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That they won't know who they are anymore. That's why we can't trace our history back from further than 1492 nor 1692 transatlantic slave trade. That's the mystery behind our names being given, these names being given to us. Let's get Isaiah 65 verse 15.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 65, verse 15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse.
And we, the Israelites, will leave our name. We will leave the name of Judah for a curse. What is the curse? African Americans, American blacks, colored people, Negroes, black. Now we call ourselves niggas. It keeps on going. What's next? What's next? 2015, 16. What are we going to call ourselves next? Dirt? The Benjamin. Now they call themselves West Indian blacks. If you tell a person from Tobagan that you're the same person as a Jamaican, they, oh no, we ain't no Jamaican. Oh no, or we tell the person that's Jamaican that you and American blacks, you guys are the same family. Oh, they ain't get boy, that lazy person. They don't want to hear that. Read on.
And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen.
And God said, ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. We left the name of our biblical names, the 12 tribes of Israel. We left the name of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, and Naphtali. These are our biblical names. And the people on the right side, the people that sing the school systems, that you teach every day, those are the people of the Bible that left their names for a curse. Read on.
For the Lord God shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name.
Sounds harsh. He said, the Lord God shall slay us. 1492, when the conquistadors, or Christopher Columbus came over, he slayed us. But we have so-called Puerto Ricans, Colombians, Dominicans, all celebrating Columbus Day in October. Or even we celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was the day when the Native American Indians were slaughtered. That was a day of slaughter. They was giving thanks for slaughtering them. But we don't know that anymore. Because we did what? We left our name for a curse. Read that last part again.
And called his servants by another name.
And he called us by another name. The truth, and the truth shall make you free. Today is a new day. No longer can they keep this knowledge from us, because this knowledge is growing. It will reach, the Bible prophecy says that we will all return back to our nationality. We will come back to our first estate. Because when you look at the condition of our people, he says it's impossible for us to come out of this. It is impossible. But anything's possible with God. He can do whatever he wants. And this is the possible. This is it right here, Hosea 1 verse 10.
The book of Hosea chapter 1 verse 10, it says, Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. That's why every 10 years they have a census. They go into our communities so they can count us. They did the same thing back in ancient Egypt. So you can see how can they control us. They need to know the numbers. What else? What do we need to do more? How can we put more? How can we set up more private prison institutions? So we can put more blacks in prisons. There's too many black men out here. Let's weaken the black men so we destroy the family. Let's push women's feminist movement. Let's push Beyonce, girls, girls, we rule this world. Because they're keeping a count on us. If they can keep the black family out, then they can keep our nations out. Read on.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
We cannot be measured nor numbered.
And it shall come to pass.
It shall come to pass. Hosea is prophesying. He is saying it shall come to pass, meaning a future event will come. In a very, very near future, it shall come to pass that what?
That, and the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people.
In the place that you said unto them that you are not what?
You are not my people.
In the shores of America, North, Central, and South America, it was said to us that we are not God's people. We got our names taken away, and our nationality was given to other people. It was said in America, we are not God's people. And what? South America, Central America. But what?
There it shall be said unto them.
In the very place where we enslaved and our nationality was changed, there in America, and South America, and Central America, and what? China, all the places where our people were scattered during the transatlantic slave trade in the 1492 conquest, there it shall be said unto them what?
Ye are the sons of the living God.
We are the Israelites. We are the Jews, the biblical Jews of the Bible. We are the princes of the powers, the people that the Bible contains of. That's been us since day one. But now we open up the mystery of the Bible. Like Daniel said, shut up the book until the time. This is the time where the mystery of the Bible is being revealed on this earth. Now, and the one thing, who's a teacher in here? Raise your hand. There's a lot of teachers in here, right? Or who's involved in the educational system? So we hear something, let's get second Ezra. No, Deuteronomy 33. So in the school systems, they talk about the Bering Strait. The Bering Strait. How did the Native American Indians, or Hispanics, or indigenous people that's of South, Central America, and North America, how did they get to this side of the world? Because if common sense and logic would say that no person can survive through the Bering Straits. It reaches degrees negative 50, you believe. About negative 50. And first of all, there's icebreaker ships that can't even get through the Bering Strait. They can't even get through it. So how can a human survive the Bering Strait, which is over 20, 30, 40, 50 miles long? You would have died just from the frostbite. So alone. So modern day technology could barely get through the Bering Strait. So it's impossible for people back then to get to the Bering Strait. So now we're going to get to the history documented. How did Hispanics get to this side of the world? And who are the ones to lead the Hispanics on the journey to this side of the world? Meaning called the New World or the Western Hemisphere. Deuteronomy 33 verse 17.
Deuteronomy 33 verse 17. His glory is like the firstlings of his bullock.
His glory is like the firstling of his bullock. It's talking about Joseph. Maybe you know Joseph in the Bible, right? So Joseph was one of the sons of Jacob. And Egypt has documented that he actually existed. And he ruled over Egypt at one point. So Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Read on.
And his horns are like the horns of unicorns.
And the two kingdoms, Ephraim and Manasseh, Ephraim, which is so-called Puerto Ricans. Ephraim is the so-called Puerto Ricans. Manasseh is the so-called Cubans. We're going to show you something that's deep that's been in front of your face the whole time, but you never caught on to it. You never caught on to it. So Ephraim and Manasseh will be the leaders to lead the 10 tribes, or the Hispanics and Native American Indians, to the Western Hemisphere. Read on.
With them.
With Ephraim and Manasseh, he shall do what?
He shall push the people together to the ends of the earth.
He shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. Because the Western Hemisphere was never occupied. That's why when Christopher Columbus came over here, he said this is a newfound world. The ancient maps is cut off. And we're going to show you a video clip later on. That's even in your movies. You got to pay attention to movies. They put the truth out in the movies, but you can't catch it because you don't know the Bible. The mystery is in the Bible. But we're going to bring some clips to show you it. So even in the movies, they show the map cut off. That this side of the world wasn't discovered. But we know who discovered it. With them,
he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000s of Ephraim.
They are the 10,000s of Ephraim. Read on. Wait. Now the 10,000s of Ephraim. This is the Puerto Rican flag. You guys recognize this? Look at it. Examine it. The star in the middle. One white star. You have the blue part. Red, white, red, white. Now let's get the Cuban flag. This is Ephraim and Manasseh. They were born from Joseph. They were both brothers. Now let's get the Cuban flag right here. That's it. So you see, it's no coincidence with God. Why are these two flags the same, but different colors? Because those are the two brothers that came from Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Everything's in front of us, but we have to decipher it. We got to be able to go into the information that's out there in the world and decipher it through the Bible and figure out, what is this? What does this mean? All right. Is that it?
They are the 10,000s of Ephraim.
They are the 10,000s of Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans.
And they are the thousands of Manasseh.
And the so-called Cubans. The Cubans, the so-called Puerto Ricans, and so-called Cubans, which are the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh, are the ones that led the journey to the Western Hemisphere. Now, we're going to get a book called the Apocrypha. Now, a lot of you probably don't notice anybody know what the Apocrypha is? No, right? You heard of it. Some of you heard of it, right? So the Apocrypha was once a part of the Bible. This is the original 1611 Bible. Protestant Christians removed it in the 1800s. We're going to see why they removed this. Because if you read the Old Testament, you will understand the New Testament. And in the New Testament, it talks about things like Gentiles, strangers. And we automatically think that Gentiles and strangers or heathens is talking about other nations, the ones that Paul was going to. But that's not true, because the Apocrypha bridges the gap. Because you have the Old Testament, you have the Assyrian captivity, which is the modern-day Kurdistanians. You have the Babylonian captivity, which is the Babylonians are the modern-day Ethiopians. Nebuchadnezzar came from that. You have the Persian Mede captivity. The modern Persian Medes are what? The Elamites, they're the Iranians. That's what Ahmadinejad is. You have the Persians, the East Indians. These are the people that were ruling during the Persian captivity. So that book, now after that, you have the Greeks. You have Alexander and the Greeks came out in power after that. Then after Alexander and the Greeks, you have the Romans. And the Romans begin the New Testament. So without even the New Testament, it talks about the Greeks. But without the Apocrypha, you would never know about it. You would never know why they were called Gentiles. But there's other information that's documented in the Apocrypha. Let's get the migration of the 10 tribes.
2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land. Okay.
So let's go to the screen. Let's go back. Let's go under 10 tribes. Under here, right here. Let's see, is that it? Click it. Here. Nope, go back to 10 tribes. Here. Oh, okay, nope. Yep, right there. Yep, thank you. Read it.
Those are the 10 tribes.
Those are the 10 tribes. Now, can you pass me the... Thank you. So those are the 10 tribes. Starting from Ephraim, the head tribe. Then Manasseh he was behind Ephraim. Then you have the rest of the tribes here. Those are the 10 tribes. Read on.
Which were carried away prisoners.
Read on.
Out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria, led away.
Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria. Now you got to know actual historical records. Now, Salmanasar was an actual person. He ruled during what, the 722 BC. So Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led the 10 tribes captives. Read on.
Whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
Led away captive, read on.
And he carried them over the waters.
He, Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, carried the 10 tribes over the waters. You can see the waters right here, the Euphrates River. He carried them over the waters, read on.
And so came they into another land.
And they came into another land. One of the lands was Nineveh that they came into. Read on.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
But they took this counsel among themselves. Now you have to know Bible history. The only time that the Israelites were given liberty was during the time of Cyrus the king. That's during the Persian and Mede captivity. That's 539 BC. That's when the Israelites were given liberty. So when they were given liberty, let's see if they stayed in the lands of Assyria. Read on.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
So all 10 tribes, with Ephraim being the leader, took the counsel amongst themselves that they would do what?
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
That they will leave the multitude of the heathen. Heathen means another nation. Because in the churches they teach us heathen means a bad person, a sinful person. Now in the New Testament the Israelites were called heathen because we took on a lot of the customs of the other nations. We were called Gentiles because we took on the Gentile customs. So, you know, that we will leave the multitude of the heathen.
And go forth into a further country.
So they said, we're going to go forth into a further country with this counsel. Read on.
Where never mankind dwelt.
Uh-oh. Where never mankind dwelt. The new world. Only sign where mankind never dwelt was in the Western Hemisphere. Because the Eastern Hemisphere was already inhabited. So the Americas was the place where mankind never dwelt. Read on.
Where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes.
That they might there keep them statutes. Get Yucatan. So that they might there keep their statutes. Anybody ever see this on let's see. You see, come over here?
Yes.
Fringes, right? You ever see it on the Taino Indians? You ever see it on the Aztec Indians? What about the Mayans? They all wore these things, fringes. Because they were keeping the laws. That's why the Native American Indians had fringes on all their clothing. Because they kept the laws. They just forgot. A lot of them forgot why they're keeping it. Read on.
That they might there keep their statutes.
So the reason why they left the Eastern Hemisphere to come to the Western Hemisphere with the so-called Puerto Ricans leading them, they want to keep the laws in Americas. Read on.
Which they never kept in their own land.
Because they weren't able to keep in their own land because they were slaves. Just like us. We keep the laws of what America taught us. Everything we know right now is what this country taught us. We've been assimilated to society. We're not our own people anymore. We became Americans through slavery. We lost our identity and took on another identity. Read on.
Verse 43, they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
Because the Euphrates River is the narrow passage that you see is very narrow. Read on.
For the Most High then showed signs for them.
The Most High then showed signs for them. Now, let's get more documented history. Let's go back to Yucatan now. Now, you have the so-called Mexicans. As you read the Bible, God imparted the spirit to understand how to read the constellations. So the Most High imparted that wisdom to them. Let's not go there. Go to documents. Right here. The Yucatan. Now Yucatan is a place in Mexico. So Yucatan is before and after the conquest. Now it says before and after the conquest. So we're going to go before the conquest of 1492. Now let's go back. Let's go back to documents. Okay, thank you. Now let's get this. This one. Go back. Go back to documents. Okay? Good. Most High showed them what?
For the Most High then showed signs for them.
He showed them signs. Let's read some signs. This is from the book Yucatan. Some old men of Yucatan, meaning of Mexico, say that they have heard from their ancestors that this country was peopled by a certain race who came from the east. The Eastern Hemisphere. Yucatan, Mexico was what? Some old men of Yucatan say that they have heard from the ancestor that this country was peopled by a certain race who came from the east. So the Mexicans are already telling you where they came from, the east. Whom God delivered by opening for them 12 roads through the sea. Read that again. This is in a book, and this is the Bible showing the correlation. Read it again.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs to them.
So the Most High showed them signs. God delivered by opening, I mean God showed them signs for them 12 roads.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
So Most High showed them signs. Now let's go back. Let's go back to documents. So it says Yucatan. Now let's prove what tribe these people from Yucatan were. Go to this. Now, it says, come down. He remained convinced that the most reasonable theory seems to be that they are descended from the 12 tribes, especially the tribe of Issachar. Now keep that in mind, the tribe of Issachar. This descent was indicated by many of the customs. So the tribe of Issachar, you could tell them who they were by their customs, their rites and ceremonies, common to the ancient Hebrews and modern Indians. The modern Indians and the tribe of Issachar were keeping the customs of the ancient Hebrews. Now let's go down. The Mexicans, the one that a lot of people look down on, the ones that are getting kicked out of this country, the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes. The Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes. He was originally captured by Salmanassar during that time, the king of Assyria, which we read in the Bible. Right. And of the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognized as their special ancestors. So the people calling them Indios, or indigenous people of the Americas, they knew who they were before they were conquered. And that's why they changed our name. The so-called Mexicans, the Aztecas, Indians, are actually from the tribe of Issachar. They are one of the biblical Israelites of the Bible. Now let's go back to the Bible.
2nd Ezra 13, verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go.
For through that country to get to a place where mankind never dwelt, it was a great way to go. How long?
Namely, of a year and a half.
It took them a year and a half. A year and a half. Read on.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
And the same region that the 10 tribes, the Israelites took to come over to the side of the world, was called Arsareth. Now, let's get some more documented history. Jewish Encyclopedia. Arsareth, right there. This is on your internet. What is this information doing on the Jewish Encyclopedia? Because the people calling themselves Jews today don't look like us. They live in Israel right now. They came from Poland during the time of Hitler. Where did they come from? They're not the Jews. They're converts. So they have in the Jewish Encyclopedia this information that they keep from our people, but they don't tell us this information. Why are they keeping this from us? That's part of the crafty council, the conspiracy to keep black and Hispanics and Native American Indians on the bottom of society so we could be servants for the rest of our lives. Let's read that. Arsareth. As like this said in the Bible. Read that part of the Bible again.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
Arsareth, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration. According to 2nd Ezra, this says 4th Ezra because Ezra has books in the Bible as well. 2nd Ezra 13 verse 45. What verse did you read from?
2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 45.
And what does that say in 2nd Ezra 13 verse 45?
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Read on.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
Arsareth, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses. The 10 tribes of Israel will be observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration. This is the time of restoration. meaning we're being restored back into our natural state. According to 2nd Esdras 13, verse 45. Columbus identified America with this land. Columbus read the Bible. How do you think Columbus came over here? Let's get the video clips.
Why do you wish to sail west?
To open a new route to Asia. Asia is the richest kingdom, the land of spices and gold. At the moment, there are only two ways of reaching it. By sea, sailing around the African continent. The journey takes a year. Or by land. But the Turks have closed this route to all Christians. There is a third way. By sailing west across the ocean sea.
The distance is unknown. It's said to be infinite.
Superstition. I believe the Indies are no more than 750 leagues west of the Canary Islands.
How can you be so certain?
The calculations of Toscanelli, Marin de Tir, Esdras.
Esdras is a Jew.
So what's worse?
2 minutes, and already you're a dead man.
For telling the truth?
Yes. We are burning people for less. The men you're about to confront have no emotion.
So he says Esdras. Now, we're going to get other documented information. Now let's go back to documents. This book right here is called Feats and Wisdom of the Ancients. Feats and Wisdom of the Ancients. Go to here. Phoenicians in America. Come down. We are sons of Canaan from Sidon. So it says, we are sons of Canaan from Sidon, begins the manuscript. Now let's see. Let's go back now. Why do they say we are sons of Canaan from Sidon? Now, another book, the Bible Atlas, we're not going to get that yet, but we're going to go to this. We are sons of Canaan from Sidon. Enlarge it. Come down. Come down. So they're saying, come down. We are, come down. Right here. We are sons of Canaan from Sidon. So Sidon is located in the Middle East. Come down. Okay, begins the manuscript. It is written in a Phoenician language. Phoenician also means Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, because the land that they were living in is also called the land of Phoenicia. So it says, it is written in a Phoenician language used some 500 years before the birth of Christ. This Persian and Mede captivity was 539 BC, showing that it correlates the captivity from King Cyrus and the Persian and Medes. It correlates with the route that the Israelites took. So it says 500 years before the birth of Christ. In only 8 lines, it tells a story of a voyage around Africa. Around Africa, it tells a story. So the Israelites showing you how they got to the side of the world. They didn't go to the Bering Strait, but they came around Africa. Of storm. And obviously they documented those storms what they were going through, because the currents are brutal over there. Human sacrifice. Because the Aztec Indians, the Mayan Indians, they were all sacrificing human flesh. And salvation on the shores of what is now Brazil. That's all we know. So the person that wrote this, where it was documented, was the tribe of Asher. So anywhere from the tribe of Colombia to Uruguay. And one of the tribes within the tribe of Asher is the Brazilians. So they're the ones that documented that information, and they're the first ones to be dropped off around that area. Okay? Read on. So if it was indeed left by a Phoenician sailor, the text memorializes an ancient visit to the New World, long suspected by scholars. So that's the ancient visit. It's found in Esdras. Let's go down here. So now Cyrus Gordon, an American scholar of Semitic languages, studied the text and declared it authentic. Now I'm going to jump down to here. Similarities between the inscriptions and ancient Hebrew. So why is ancient Hebrew found in Brazil? Because they all spoke Hebrew. Ancient Hebrew, once considered evidence of deceit, it was once considered evidence of deceit, has since been documented as normal among Phoenicians, a people who mix readily with a number of other cultures. Because the Israelites, when they lived in the land of Assyria, when they were taken captives, they mixed around with them. That's why the Native American Indians had those features. They had the straight hair. Some of them have big nose. Some of them look like the islanders or Hawaiians, because the Hawaiians, they come from the tribe of Japheth. They come from the son of Noah, Japheth. Or even you have other people that come from the Japheth. And that's why the Israelites look like that. And the Medes, yes, the Medes. Okay? So let's go back. So now, while on this side of the world, what was happening on the other side of the world? Let's get Luke 21. So, while on this side of the world, what about the other people? If we claim to be from Jews, what happened to that side? Let's get Luke 21.
Luke chapter 21 and verse 20. It says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh."
So, when you shall see Jerusalem, this is Christ speaking. When you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. Now you have to know other history. 70 AD. The siege of Jerusalem with Titus and Vespasian, Roman generals. Christ was warning them, when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, means surrounded about with armies. Read on.
"Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh."
Then know that the destruction of Jerusalem is coming near. Read on.
"Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains."
Then let them which are in Judea, meaning Jerusalem, flee into the mountains. Now let's see, what mountains did the Israelites flee to? Now give me Matthew 2 verse 13. Because we must also follow Christ. The Israelites followed Christ. So what did Christ do when he was young?
Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13.
Uh-huh.
"And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt."
Take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Because Egypt is connected to Israel. They're congruent to each other. So why would the angel tell Christ to flee into the other opposite end? Because Herod, he was a Roman. He was so-called Caucasian. And they occupy all the lands around about it. So the closest place for him to go is into Egypt. Why another reason Egypt? Let's get the image of Christ. Because we know the ancient Egyptians were black people. So why would a Caucasian flee amongst black people? Christ and them fled into Egypt to blend in. So you could blend in with the other Egyptians. Flee into Egypt. Read on.
"And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him."
So Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So the same instruction that was given to Christ when he was young, the same instruction Christ is given to the other Israelites. Read on. Now Luke 21.
Luke 21 verse 20. Then 21. "Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains."
Flee to the mountains. Flee into Egypt, Africa. Read on.
"And let them which are in the midst of it depart out."
And let them that are in the midst of Judea depart out. Don't come back into it, because the Roman armies are coming to conquer and destroy. Read on.
"And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too."
Read on.
"For these be the days of vengeance."
These be the days of vengeance, because Christ is warning them. There was a day that was supposed to come that vengeance will come upon the Israelites. So he said, when this day comes upon you, you better flee to the mountains. I'm warning you right now. These are the signs that I'm giving you. Read on.
"For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled."
We're going to go, all things which are written may be fulfilled, was written in the book of Moses, which we're going to get later. We're going to show you the curses that will come upon the children of Israel, that will come to pass, that has come to pass at this very present day. Read on.
Verse 23.
Verse 24.
Verse 24. "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword."
And the Israelites will be conquered. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be what?
"And shall be led away captive into all nations."
Stop. Let's get back to maps. "And shall be led away captives into all nations." Maps. Okay, right here. What was the slave trade about? Us being led away captives into all nations. That's why you have blacks in Vietnam, you have blacks in China, you have blacks in Europe, England, you have blacks in Brazil, you You have blacks all over the world. Wherever you go, North, Central, South America, the Eastern Hemisphere. We are, through the 1619 transatlantic slave trade, we were led away captive into all nations. Read that again.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations.
And they were led away captive into all nations. That was the prophecy that must be fulfilled. Read on.
And Jerusalem.
And Jerusalem, the land of Jerusalem, read on.
Shall be trodden down.
Shall be stepped on by what?
Of the Gentiles.
Meaning, other nations will live in our land. The true Jews will no longer live in our land. Because the prophecy says the only time they'll be returned to the land is when Christ comes. That prophecy never came to pass. So the people that are living in Jerusalem right now, they're not the people that Christ warned to flee to the mountains. But the people that were warned to flee to the mountains were the same people that were taken from the coast of West Africa, Northeast Africa, and were led away captives into all nations. Until the time of the Gentiles be what?
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Until the prophecies come to pass. Meaning until we restore back to our nationality. And then once we restore, then we go back to our land, which is the motherland. They have a song called Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, coming forth to carry us home. The ancestors, the slaves back then, they knew of these things. So the chariots that they was talking about to swing low are the so-called UFOs you guys call. The extraterrestrials, you think. Those are the chariots. Those are the instruments of the angels of God that he uses. So on those chariots, that's why you see them appear more often and often. Because they're getting ready for the day of deliverance. When the angels come and swoop low, and the greatest deliverance when we come be brought back into the motherland, which is Jerusalem, our homeland, not Africa.
אתה מצלם? אתה רואה?
אני רואה, מה זה? תגיד, שתים יותר מדי? לא, לא.
לא, לא, כולנו רואים את זה.
מה זה? 5 עיניים.
שיו!
יואו! רות, בלין. מה
מה
זה?
זה, אמא?
מה זה, ראית? יואו בנברות. ראית את זה?
כן.
And different other areas of West Africa. So, Joel 3, and let's go back to documents. Joel 3, verse 1.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah.
He said, for behold, in those days and that time, another prophetic event will occur. For those days and that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah. Judah. Israel. 12 tribes. And who else?
And Jerusalem.
And Jerusalem. And the Jerusalem were the inhabitants of Judah. Because of these three kingdoms, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi consisted of the Jews. Jew is the derivative of the word Judah. And from Judah was these three tribes. We call them the southern kingdom of Israel. And the other tribes we call northern kingdom. In the New Testament, we call these tribes Gentiles, strangers. So Paul was going to these tribes. That's why you don't hear about them. Because it was the same hatred. Just like blacks don't get along with Hispanics right now, you can see in the school systems, there's always gang wars. You have the Latin kings against the Bloods. Always constant rival. That goes back all the way from King Solomon. When the split of Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, we were fighting since ancient times. And that fight is still going on to this very day. Nothing has changed. Read on.
Verse 2. I will also gather all nations.
God said, I will also gather all nations. Another prophetic event. Read on.
And will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
The valley of Jehoshaphat is Israel, the Middle East. He said, I'm going to gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. We are living that times right now. Read on.
Will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Of the Middle East. That's why you see all nations, Russia. You see China. You see Syria. Everything's happening in Israel. Everything, all the conflict is around Israel. Israel wants to go to war to Iran. So if that goes on, then everything goes on because Russia's going to come right behind them. So that's why God said this again. Read it again, verse 2.
I will also gather all nations.
And that's happening right now. He's gathering all the nations right now. And this is the reason why the war is happening. This is the secret behind the war. World War III coming to pass. God is doing that right now. For what reason?
And will bring them down, eat with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel.
And for his heritage, Israel. He's not going to say please. He's God. God doesn't plead. So the war is going to break off for his heritage, Israel. Read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
Uh-oh. Whom they have what?
Scattered among the nations.
The Third World War is happening because the other nations scattered us among the nations during slavery. Read on.
Will scatter among the nations and parted my land.
And parted my land. What happened a couple of years ago? You had Palestine, the Palestinians, and the Israelis. They parted the land. That happened in the United Nations. God's showing the prophetic event that happened a couple of years ago. Because they divided the land between Israelis and Palestine. That's why the war is going on right now. Because they parted the land. That was a prophecy that had to be fulfilled. That you saw for your very own eyes. And it's in the Bible. But you must go into the Bible to understand what it's talking about. Read on.
And they have cast lots for my people.
And they have also cast lots for my people. Let's go back to documents. Thank you. Read that again.
And they have cast lots for my people.
So, 25, 45, 65, 69, so to Master Charleston in Virginia. So, they have cast lots for my people. They have offered them on slave auction block. So, to Master Charleston in Virginia. So, one nigga. That's what they did. They cast lots for God's people. Read on.
They have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot.
And they have given a boy for a harlot. Slave breeders, so they can produce more big and strong slaves. What's the movie called?
Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom. They show that in Uncle Tom. Everybody see Uncle Tom in here? Uncle Tom. Farewell, Uncle Tom. You see that movie? They had the biggest slave breeding with other slave women to breed more big slaves because good economics. That's what the bigger they are, the more work they could do. So they have given a what for a harlot?
A boy for an harlot.
And they given a boy for a harlot, so he could be a breeder and produce more slaves. Read on.
And sold a girl for wine.
We all know the history books, but historians in here. Our women were sold for wine. They were sold for wine, and they participated in parties and orgies with them, the slave master. This is true. I can't hold anything back, but I must speak the truth, and nothing but the truth. And this is what they did. They raped our women when they were sold for wine. Read on.
That they might drink. Yea. And what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
And yea, what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Tyre and Zidon. Now let's go back to documents. And yea, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? When you examine the scriptures, Tyre and Zidon came from the forefather Ham. Ham was a forefather of the African races. Let's get that in the Bible dictionary. And you can also go back. Yep. Go to albums. Go to documents. Up here. Yep. Right here. Just want to show you that. Enlarge this. Come up. So it says, so this is from the Compact Bible Dictionary. Even in books like this, they hide information from you guys. So the Compact Bible Dictionary with Ham. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races. So it said Ham became the forefather of the dark races. Now we know that Ham wasn't the only dark race because you have Shem and Japheth. Because Genesis, everybody was black. The first Caucasian on this earth was through the forefather Esau. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of him, but that was the first Caucasian ever to come out on this earth. And he came to 2 black people, Isaac and Rebekah. Because black people, as you can see through science, black people could produce white children. So those are the 2 parents that had the Caucasian race. So it says, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood, became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Why would they say not the Negroes if we're dark people? They claim that we're Africans, but why would they distinguish the two people? But the Egyptians, because a lot of Negroes like to identify themselves with ancient Egypt, with Kemet. They said we were with Ramses, Queen Hatshepsut, Nefertiti, King Tut. We identify with all these people, but even the scholars say, you guys are not them, not the Negro, a separation. Ethiopians. Some of us like to identify ourselves with Ethiopians, but they says, no, you're not them. Libyans. Not the Libyans in Libya right now, because those are the Arabs. The other ancient Libyans were Africans. And Canaanites. And the Canaanites were South Africans. So he's showing a distinguish between the Negroes, the people who call themselves Negroes in America, and the people in the continent of Africa. They're Hamitic, meaning they come from the forefather Ham. We come from the forefather Shem. We're Shemitic. And through Shem, we come through Abraham. Through Abraham, we come to Isaac. To Isaac was Jacob. To Jacob, you have blacks and Hispanics and Native American Indians. The 12 tribes of Israel. And that's where our lineage follows through. So let's go back to Joel 3. And let's go back to documents. Go back. Yep. Okay, let's pull up this now. Read it.
Joel 3 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
And what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Tyre and Zidon were African nations. They came from Ham. They were Hamitic. Read on.
And all the coast of Palestine.
And all the coast of Palestine. Who are the Palestinians? The Arabs. What era did this occur? The trans-Saharan slave trade. Let's see what he's talking about.
And all the coast of Palestine. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
It says, and all the coast of Palestine. Now let's get history. In 1324, Mansa Musa had gone on a pilgrimage to Mecca. So Mansa Musa was an African king. He went on a pilgrimage to Mecca. Read on. Which made him into a legendary figure in the Christian as well as the Muslim world. So he's showing you, he was trading slaves to the Arabs. That's where the largest slave port was, in Mecca. Where the Africans were selling the Israelites and to the Arabs. So, okay, what is that? Riding through the North Africa in a procession that includes some 500 slaves, each one carrying a staff of pure gold. He had bestowed glittering gifts wherever he went. Read on.
Verse 5. Because you have taken my silver and my gold.
Stop. Let's read it again. In 1324, Mansa Musa had gone on a pilgrimage to Mecca, which made him into a legendary figure in the Christian as well as in the Muslim world. Riding through North Africa in a procession that included some 500 slaves, each one carrying a staff of pure gold. Read that part again.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold.
Now read verse 3 again.
Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
That's what he's addressing, the Africans and the Arabs. The trans-Saharan slave trade. Now it says down here, in general, what is being honored here is a trans-Saharan trade, the flourishing which brought gold and other commodities to the Moorish cities of North Africa, and thence into European markets. And thence into European markets. And thence, meaning later on, they did a further trade with the Europeans. Now read on. Let's see, that's Bible prophecy.
Verse 6. The children also of Judah.
The children of Judah, the American blacks, read on.
And the children of Jerusalem.
And the West Indian blacks and the Haitians, read on.
Have ye sold unto the Grecians.
Who are the Grecians? The Grecians, everybody call themselves Caucasian or European Caucasian, they all descend from the Romans, and all the Romans come from the Greeks. That was the beginning of their civilization. They are sold to the what?
Have ye, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem,
And
have you sold unto the Grecians?
Have you sold unto the Greeks, the trans-Saharan slave trade? Because in 1524, the Africans and Arabs would gather around the Israelites, and they took them and sold them into the Grecians, and to the Caucasians. All right? Is there anything else on that?
That ye might remove them far from their border.
That we might be removed far from our border. Now go back to documents. That we were removed far from our borders. Sold from West Africa into America. That's far from our border. Go back to documents. Okay. Go back. Go to documents up here. Now go to this right here. In the year, this is from the book, Babylon from Timbuktu. Babylon to Timbuktu, this is in the book. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. That's what we read in Luke 21. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter during the period of the military governors of Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Over 1 million Jews fled into Africa in slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Let's read that again. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Now let's go back to verse 6. Joel 3, verse 6.
Joel chapter 3, verse 6.
And this is the book. You can also purchase this book too in the bookstores. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. They didn't hike this price up yet. This is still affordable. So you better get it while you can before it's $1,000, $2,000. But all these books we have, the prices shoot up. And some books you can't even find anymore. We try to go back and find books. They took off the markets completely. They took it off the shelf. You can't even find it. One bookstore actually interrogated me. I went for one book. I said, hey, listen, can I get this book? They said, what for? I said, oh, for a school project. I said, why are you asking me these questions? So a guy from downstairs came up to me. He said, okay, so you want a book? I said, I want the book. So later on, they said we have it in stock. So a couple weeks later, they said, oh, it's out of print. There's nothing we can do about it. I went on the websites. All throughout, I looked on websites, European websites, all the websites. They discontinued the book from the shelves altogether. Now we can't find it. So we got to go through PDF. So these books are like treasures because it has all the information. You want to hide anything from a Negro? Hide it in the book. Too late, we got the books. Can't hide it anymore. All right? All right, so now, during this time, you wonder what happened to the so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. Because remember, we went to the Eastern Hemisphere. Now let's go back to the Western Hemisphere. Okay? Give me Hosea 8, verse 13. And go back. Okay? Hosea 8, verse 13, and get me American Holocaust. Oh, I'll tell you in a second.
Hosea chapter 8, verse 13. They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offering.
They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of my offering. Read it again.
They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offering and eat it. But the Lord accepted them not.
And eat it, but the Lord accepted it not. Now we're going to take a clip from a movie called Apocalypto. So it says, this is concerning the northern kingdom of Israel. So that's said. We're not going to hold anything back today. So read that again.
They sacrificed flesh for the sacrifices of mine offering and
Because
eat it.
they were sacrificing flesh. You have the Incas, the Mayans, the Aztecs. Were all sacrificing human flesh for his offering. Read on.
But the Lord accepted them not.
He didn't accept them not. He didn't accept the human sacrifices. Because the sacrifices what they were doing in Jerusalem were other animal sacrifices. But they went off and started sacrificing their own things. Read on.
Now will he remember their iniquity and visit their sins.
So God said, now I will remember their iniquity, their sins. I will visit their sins. Read on.
And now will he remember their iniquity and visit their sins. They shall return into Egypt.
And they shall return into Egypt. What does Egypt mean? Give me Exodus 20 verse 2. And let's go back.
Exodus chapter 20 verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
God says, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Read on.
Out of the house of bondage.
House of bondage. Egypt is synonymous for the house of bondage. Another word for bondage means slavery. Now let's go back to Hosea 8 verse 13, 14.
Verse 14.
They shall return to Egypt.
Okay, they shall return to Egypt.
Meaning the Israelites, you guys, will return back into slavery. Read on.
For Israel have forgotten his master, his maker.
Because after a while, they started, the Hispanics and Native American Indians, even though they were practicing the laws, eventually they forgot it. And they started sacrificing human flesh, as you can see. And God said, you're going to return back to slavery because you forgot me. You forgot the laws that we kept. Read on.
And buildeth temples.
And buildeth what?
And buildeth temples.
Let's get this. Why do you think the temples in ancient Egypt is similar to the temples in America? And they builded temples. That's the temple in, I believe, that's the Inca temple. You go to this one, and the Mayan temple. Why did the Incas and the Mayans build temples? Wait a minute, we're missing somebody else too. Let's go back. So we have the Incas build the temples, and the Mayans build the temples. Now let's go to videos. Go back. Go to American Holocaust. American Holocaust right here. Take this one. Let's see what Glenn Beck had to say about this. Build the temples.
Is made up of 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet. 606. It's made up of stades, exactly the same. Now, if that's not interesting enough, look at the angle of the Great Pyramid of Giza. If you take the angle of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the slope is 51.8 degrees. Let's go back to the earthworks. If you measure the line that goes straight through the center of the structure, right here, and then you go true north, it's 51.8 degrees. That angle is exactly the same angle as the pyramids of Giza. It is the same math, the same calculations as ancient Egyptians. Let me show you one more connection. In 1860, David Iuic, he's a guy who surveyed the Newark earthworks. He was digging into a mound near those earthworks, and he found a wooden coffin made of oak. They opened up the coffin and found a skeleton of a man holding a little box that was about 8.10 inches in size. The box had been cemented shut here. This, by the way, is sitting in Ohio. Well, he opened up the box and he found a little man inside, a little black stone. They took it to scholars and they looked at it. The man seems to be carrying something, and there's writing here at first they couldn't recognize. The writing is, they thought in 1860, some sort of Hebrew. Well, finally, about 20 years later, they found some rabbis living in the area, and the rabbis looked at that, and they could read it. They said it was an old kind of block Hebrew, and it was a rendition of the 10 Commandments. Now, this is another piece. Block Hebrew, they said they'd never seen anything like it. Mainstream archaeologists at the time called this a hoax. But then in 1900, or just about after 1900, in Israel, they found the same block-style Hebrew writing. Mainstream archaeologists still dismissed the findings. They found it in Israel, and they found it in Ohio. But there was another stone that they found that they couldn't argue. This is the Bat Creek stone. It was found during the course of an official Smithsonian evacuation. The Smithsonian didn't understand the meaning of the writing on the stone. They thought it was Cherokee, since it came from Cherokee country. They didn't realize that it's actually Hebrew. They had published this originally upside down. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. Many years later, a scholar took it out of the box, looked at it, and went, oh my gosh, it's upside down. It's Phoenician, ancient Hebrew. So what's going on here? What is that about? Where is that history? I'll show you in a few minutes, and we're going to have
Mexico and Peru. It's the same temples as built in ancient Egypt, because what? The Israelites that were delivered out of the land of Egypt with Moses, they are the same people in the Americas that built those temples. So, and even Glenn Beck confirmed it. So all this information out here, these are the Hebrews, these are the Israelites, and came from the eastern side of the hemisphere. Now, we read before that the southern kingdom, the Jews, were taken to captivity to the Caucasians. And then we have the northern kingdom, the Hispanics. He said, you shall return into Egypt. Let's get Deuteronomy 28. What you gonna know about Deuteronomy 28? What we're gonna go over right now? It is the slave trade. Word for word. Word for word. Every word documented on Deuteronomy 28 is the slave trade. Let's get it.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
It says, but it shall come to pass.
But it shall come to pass, meaning a future and prophetic event will occur. Read on.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
If that we didn't listen to God's voice, which is what?
To observe, to do all his commandments, and his statutes which I command thee this day.
Because the voice of God was his commandments, the laws. The laws made our heritage. It separated us from everybody else. Just like you have Arabs. They have customs that they keep. You have Chinese people who have customs that they keep. You have Africans that have customs that they keep. Every nation has their own customs. Our laws identify us with who we were, the Israelites. And when our laws were taken away from us, we no longer became the Israelites. We became African Americans. So our laws are the ones that empowered us as a people. Read on.
That all these curses.
That all these curses shall do what?
Shall come upon thee.
Curses will come upon the children of Israel and do what?
Upon thee and overtake thee.
And the curses will come upon us because we didn't keep God's laws, and it will overtake us as a people. Verse 16.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
He said, curse. One curse is you're going to be cursed in the cities. Look at every major city in America, Europe, throughout the whole world. You find blacks and Hispanics in the ghettos. We're cursed in the cities. Why is it that when you go in a black neighborhood, you see gum on the floor? You go to the elevator, you smell pee in the elevator. You see crack needles. You see a gun shop and a liquor store right next to each other. We are in Section 8, welfare. He said, cursed shall you be in the city, all in our communities. Cursed shall thou be in the city. He's saying what's going to happen because we don't want to keep his laws and follow his commandments. He said, this is going to be your demise. You don't want to listen? Fine. I gave you everything. I can always take everything away from you. Read on.
And cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Cursed shall thou be in the field. Let's get this image. We were cursed in the field during the time of slavery. We were cursed to pick cotton. These are actual images taken from slavery on a cotton field. Actually on the field. You can see it's all cotton. Go to the next image. Yep. Some more images of a slavery. Next. You see? Cursed shall we be in the field. Read on.
Cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Uh-huh.
Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store.
Go back. Go back to documents. Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store. Let's go back to documents. Now you're always wondering, why can't black people prosper as a people? Go up, go down. Up, no, go back. Go back to slavery. Nope, go back. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. Cursed shall thy basket in thy store. Get that. Why is it that blacks and Hispanics, blacks alone, we generate $1.1 trillion. We have estimated to generate $1.1 trillion a year. You got Hispanics, $1.2 trillion a year. If they said if we were to use our money wisely, we would be the 8th and the 9th powerful nation in the whole world. The 8th and the 9th powerful nation in the whole world. But why can't we prosper? Why are we always asking for Section 8, welfare? But we have so much money within our community. God says, cursed shall I be thy basket and thy stores. Because you look at this, they even mock us. Black consumers, white businesses, Asian businesses, others. Where's the black business? Now look in your community. Look in the community of Englewood alone. Where's our stores? Where's our stores? You can see a chicken spot on every corner. Somebody that just came from another country all out of nowhere, they get a loan. They get a loan and they can open up a store, but we can't get a loan. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Right. There's 5, 6 different Chinese restaurants in our community. You have all these different restaurants. You tell me a black store can't be owned? And the black stores that were owned in Englewood, as you guys know, the rent was raised. And they all got pushed out. We have family friends that we know of that stores got pushed out. And they say black people don't support each other because we don't apply the laws towards each other. As long as we don't apply the laws, we will never support each other. Not in our mindset. So God said, you don't want to keep my laws? These are the curses going to come upon you. Every nation is going to prosper above you. Our communities is a gold mine, and that's why everybody comes to our community. Because they know that they're going to prosper. The weed business, it's a $1 billion business. They prosper off of us. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Read on. Verse 17.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Verse 27. Verse 27. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emeralds, and with the scab, and with the itch, wherewith thou cannot be healed.
And so those are other curses that came upon us. You have the measles, and you have smallpox, the Native American Indians. That's smallpox. That was one of the curses that will come upon the natives. All right, read on. Verse 30. Verse 30.
It says, Thou shalt betroth the wife.
We will betroth the wife. Read on.
And another man shall lie with her.
Because in slavery, what did they do to our women? They took our women and they raped them. We had wives that was promised to us, and another man lied with them. Read on.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
And we built America. We built the White House. Benjamin Banneker himself designed the White House, and slaves built it. Then he called it the White House to mock us. But he says, thou shalt build a house, and another man shall dwell in it. I'll go back to the top verse again.
Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Now, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Give me Hosea 7, verse 8. Now, you wonder, why the Hispanics? Why the Hispanics different colors? Because a lot of people say that the people calling themselves Hispanic today are Latinos. A lot of them are descendants of Spain because of their colors. A lot of them have a light, they don't have any pigmentations in them. But God's showing you the mystery behind it. Because what? He said, you shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie in with them. So a lot of people, the Hispanics, were raped. Or even the women just were given to them. So, Hosea 7, verse 8.
Ephraim, he have mixed himself among the people.
Ephraim, northern kingdom, have mixed himself among the people. Have mixed himself among the Spaniards. That's why he had the term mestizos come from. They were called mixed. Read on.
Ephraim is a cake not turned.
Ephraim, meaning Hispanics, will be a cake not turned. Some are dark skinned. And you see the Puerto Ricans, they're very dark. You see so-called Mexicans, they're very dark. You see Cubans, they're very dark. But you see the other ones are very light. So he said Ephraim is a cake not turned. Ephraim is a cake not turned. One is dark, one is light. Read on.
Ephraim is a cake not turned. Strangers have devoured his strength.
The conquistadors have devoured the so-called Spanish, the Israelites' strength. They took the knowledge from them. They took the identity, the nationality. They took the laws away from them. Read on.
In the end, he knoweth it not.
Now you know the majority of the Hispanics, even in the educational system, they never knew that there was a slavery. They don't know who they are. And teachers in here could bear witness in it. Teachers, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, politicians. We all see the Hispanics. They have no clue who they are anymore. They don't know that they were in slavery. And they always say, oh, you Negroes were slaves. You Negroes, we have nothing to do with you. We Spaniards. God says, no. Just because you're light-skinned doesn't mean you're Spaniards. He said, you just mix yourself amongst the people. Read on.
Strangers have devoured his strength, yet and he knoweth it not. Yea, Gray hairs are here and they're upon him.
And gray hairs are here and upon them, meaning they get old. And read on.
Yet he knoweth it not.
Even when they're old, they don't know their nationality. They don't know their history. Now give me Hosea 9 verse 13. Now, because even though they mix themselves amongst the people, many people might say, okay, then they must be Spaniards. You must need further proof. Now let's go back to documents. And go here. Okay. Read right here. Hosea 9 verse 13. What did God do to prevent that from happening? To prevent the people that are light-skinned from becoming Spaniards. Read on.
Hosea 9 and verse 13. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer.
So Ephraim shall bring forth his children, meaning Hispanics will bring forth their children to the conquistadors, the Spaniards. He will bring forth their children to the murderer because they are the murderers of our people. Read on. And what did God do?
Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? Give them a miscarrying womb.
Give them a miscarrying womb and what else?
And dry breasts.
And dry breasts. This is from the book Bartolome de las Casas. Anybody ever heard that book before? Bartolome de las Casas was a priest that came with Christopher Columbus in the Isla Hispaniola. He documented everything that happened to the so-called Hispanics. He documented all the atrocities and genocides committed against the people and indigenous people of North, Central, South America. So read that last part again, and let's see what was documented in his book.
Give them a miscarrying womb and a dry breast. And dry breasts.
Let's read the book. The milk dried up in all the mothers who were suckling their babes, and soon all the newborn babes died. Read the prophecy again.
Hosea chapter 9 and verse 14.
Documents.
Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast.
Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. Now let's get verse 31. So, go back. Deuteronomy 28.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 31. It says, Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Thine ox shall be slain before thy eyes. What is he standing on? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of oxen. Hundreds. He said, your ox will be slain upon your eyes. Read on.
Thine ass shall be violently taken away from you.
And your ass shall be violently taken away from you. Read on.
From before thy face.
Read on.
And shall not be restored to thee.
Because you always hear us claiming, where's our 2 acres and a mule?
40.
40 acres and a mule. Where's our 40 acres and a mule? What did God say about your 40 acres and a mule? Stop asking about it. This is what God's saying. Because this will happen.
It says, thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face.
Your two mules, or your mule will not be given to you. I'm going to take it away from you. And what else?
And shall not be restored to thee.
You will never get your 40 acres and a mule. It's not come to you because it will not be restored unto you. Verse 32.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. We know in history, our sons and daughters were taken from us and given unto another people. That's history. Nobody can deny the truth. Neither can you deny the fact that this is Bible prophecy. All the prophecies written in the Bible correlates with our history, hand to hand. Read on.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. And thine eyes shall look and fare with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
And when our sons and daughters were given to another people, we had no power to get them back. We had no military power. We couldn't do anything. And our women mourn, our fathers mourn, because that's your child. So when they take it away from you, that's something precious. Even in today's standards, you have diapers. They take away our children from us. You spank your child now, they take away your children. So that related back then, and it relates now. The curses are still upon us as a people, because we refuse to identify ourselves with the Bible. Read on. Go to the next verse.
Verse 41. Deuteronomy 28, verse 41.
Thou
shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
And years ago, when the World Trade was taken down, they saw 5-year-old's bones remains, and with stress marks on his muscles, because they worked the 5-year-old child to death. And to death, they're working children from 3, 4, 5. As soon as they can walk, you're put to labor. Read on.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 48.
Go to documents. Go to documents.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
God says, therefore you shall serve your enemies, which I will send against thee.
In hunger,
In hunger we have to serve our enemies, read on.
and in thirst,
And in thirst you have to serve your enemies. Any food you want, you got to go to your enemies. In thirst, we don't own the reservoirs. We don't own the Dasanis, the Polar Springs. We don't control the water. If you don't pay your water bill, they take it off. They turn it off. We got to pay for something that's free. Not even with rainwater. They're taxing, you're not even allowed to collect rainwater. Something that comes from the skies. Read on.
and in nakedness,
And in nakedness, you have to serve your enemies. We don't own any raw textile companies. We got to go to the other nations for that. Read on.
and in want of all things,
And if anything we want, a marriage license, a birth certificate, a car license, a driver's license, education. You want to learn about God, religion, anything you want, you got to go to the other nations. That's the curse, because we're supposed to come amongst each other and rely on each other. That's how nations set up. You can go to every culture. They all look out for themselves. Every culture you look at, everybody takes care of themselves. They work together as a community. But when it comes to us, we have no love for each other. We can't take care of each other because the curses are upon us. Read on.
and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck,
And he shall do what? Deuteronomy 28.
and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck,
And he, the nations, the enemies, shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Bible prophecy that this will occur. A yoke of iron was put upon our neck. As you can see, not only the blacks had yokes of irons upon their necks, but Hispanics had yokes of irons too. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. Let's get some more. Go up. Yep, you see? The Native American Indians, indigenous people. They also have yokes of irons upon their neck as well. So that prophecy happened to both kingdoms. The blacks and Hispanics have yokes of irons upon their neck. Bible prophecy. Read on.
and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck,
Mhm.
until he have destroyed thee.
Just like a dog. You put a leash upon him, so what? He will obey all your commands.
For many years, brothers and sisters have inquired of us about the haters of Israel United in Christ. I explained to Deacon Asaph, who's one of the best rappers in the world, believe it, that we needed a video. So I gave him my concept, the message I wanted to convey to the people. I had many producers on standby. We also have one of the best video production artists named Bezaleel. He's like the Incredible Hulk of all videos. To mold the video around the music that Deacon Asaph will come with and make it happen.
How many times must we check these fools, correct these fools, dissect these fools? They still running their mouth, that's why nobody don't respect these fools.
I heard the song, I loved it, and they made it happen. I wanted to deal with the scoffers first, because there are many haters against the Bible, against God, against Israel United in Christ. And I want all you at home, brothers and sisters, to understand that the primary focus of Israel United in Christ is to teach you your nationality, the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Towards the end of the video, I want all the viewers to understand that we are building a nation of kings and priests according to the scriptures, and we will not be deterred by anyone.
Our wives and our children, if you ain't rolling with us, better get up out the way, cause the God that we walking with is not the one to play.